So these aren't all the classics that I want to read, but they're the ones that I own. Hey folks, it's Abby, and today I'm going to be going through the classics on my TBR. So there had been some more on here. I've read some of them, and I've also unhauled some of them because I was instructed to by Caitlin from My Cheshire Rabbit. In other words, I think she's just buying me a box set of all of Jane Austen's works. So they'll be added onto here at some point, but these are what I have now. So I'm going to go through these in size order, which is the least sensical thing, but that's what we're doing. First up is a Charles Dickens book, and this is both Sketches by Boz and Hard Times in one bind-up. It is a very old book, which is why I picked it up, and also Hard Times is set in Preston, which is the city that I went to university in. It's a really small city, you probably won't have heard of it even if you're English, and it's in England, so I was very much interested in picking this one up. There's illustrations in it as well, and I've owned this for years and I haven't read it because it's intimidating because it's Charles Dickens. So I'm mentioning it now, so now you know that I have it and I need to read it. Then we have one that I bought a lot more recently. This was bought in around the end of 2019, and this is Greenbanks by Dorothy Whipple. I found this one in the British Red Cross charity shop in Newcastle. I found it when I was at work, which is why I know when I got it. And this is one of the Persephone, I think that's how you say it, books that comes with bookmark. I couldn't resist. Basically, I keep hearing Emma from Drinking by My Shelf talking about these Persephone books, and they sound amazing. They're like really readable classics that were published by women back in whatever time, this is probably the 1800s, and then were lost to history because misogyny. So these were something that I was already really interested in picking up, so when I spotted one I just had to grab it, and I know almost nothing about this. It doesn't actually give you a synopsis, it just gives you kind of quotes from the book. The writing's quite large, so even though it's a bigger book, it shouldn't actually take all that long to get through, and I'm really hoping that I enjoy this. This is one that I think should be absolutely fine when I pick it up and read it, and I'd love to get more Persephone books in the future. Then a book gifted to me by Veronica from Veronica's Shelf, and that is The Brothers Lionheart by Astrid Linguin. This is the author of Pippi Longstockings, but the reason that she sent it to me is because it is a Swedish author. I read a short story by her, Most Beloved Sister and Mirabelle, so two very short stories, and I really liked them, and as far as I can remember I never read Pippi Longstocking, but I could have read it when I was so young that I don't have the memories anymore, and so Veronica got me this thinking that I could really enjoy it, and fingers crossed I will, and I really do need to pick it up. It's a kids' classic. In Nangiala, you have adventures from morning till evening. That's what brave Jonathan Lionheart tells his sick younger brother Carl. So when both boys tragically die and are united in the land beyond the stars, they know their adventures are just beginning. It sounds really cute. Sticking with the gifted classics, this is one that was gifted to me by Caitlin from My Cheshire Rabbit. Both Caitlin and Veronica will be linked in the description, of course. And this is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. All I know about this is that Caitlin read it and then became obsessed with Virginia Woolf, and Connor Stampanto read it and unhauled it and thought it was utter shite. So this should be fun! This seems to be like an autobiographical work. I know pretty much nothing about this in any way, shape nor form. We'll see. This is a recent edition. I'll probably read it, I'm jinxing myself now. I was like, oh, I'll read it sooner rather than later. It's only 150 pages. So now I won't pick it up for 3 or 4 years, but hey ho. Then for a classic that will probably be off of my TBR relatively soon, and that is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with The Merry Men and Other Stories by R.L. Stevenson. This is on my October TBR, because I want to read it in spoopy season. I only know the folklore at the moment, and it's a story of a scientist who is perfectly nice and sweet and kind, but he changes into an evil monster because of his experimentations. And then there's some other stories in here as well. This section here is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the rest of these are short stories, so this should be another one that should be quite quick and fun to get through. Fingers crossed I'll enjoy it. And then lastly, although it's not the last one that I'm going to mention because I'm very proud of the other one, so we're bringing it up, but lastly at the moment is The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. This is another beloved classic that lots of people know about. Three Musketeers kind of banding together, going off on adventures. As far as I know there's 4 Musketeers actually, I don't know why it's called 3. Like, there's 4 people on the cover. Kudos. Wordsworth, kudos. I didn't realise until I researched him that Alexandre Dumas is actually mixed race, I believe, French and Haitian. Don't take my word for that. But yes, so this is still on here because it's quite big, But actually I am looking to add another Alexandre Dumas to my shelves, which is I'm wanting to buy The Count of Monte Cristo, which is fucking massive. Me and Olivia are wanting to continue on with our reading of large intimidating classics, reading a chapter or two a day, and so we're thinking of The Count of Monte Cristo for the next one, because the last one I'm mentioning is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, which we've finished. We've not finished yet, okay? But we will have by the time this goes up. By the time I edit it, we'll probably have finished it. And also, we're just onto the bits where he's discussing, like, war now. So we finished the story anyway, but also, we'll have finished this by the time this goes up. We're going to finish it before the end of September, which is when I'm filming. I'm so glad we finally read this. Very mixed thoughts, especially at the moment. Did not like the kind of philosophizing bits, but I did like the story, and I want more of the story, so that's really interesting. Yeah, I'm really glad that we read this. I think, as far as I know, Olivia feels the same. It was great reading with her. It meant that we got to really dissect and have an understanding of everything within the books, which was fantastic, and I'm excited to read more with her. So this is finally off of the TBR, which is why it's an honorary mention, because I just want to be like, oh my god, I finished War and Peace, because how have I finished War and Peace? How? And those are, oi, that's my bookmark just falling out, thank you. Those are the classics on my TBR, and I did a similar video a few years ago now, I think 2019, and this was much bigger at that point in time. I have read quite a lot of them. I've unhauled some, as I mentioned. The Jane Austen books have been, some of them have been read and some of them have been unhauled. I think the only one I unhauled unread was Sense and Sensibility. Again, Caitlin told me to, I'm assuming I am getting some. But yes, so it is a lot smaller than when I did this the first time round. Some of the books are the same that are on it, I think 3, so yeah, half. I think these 3 were on it the first time round, and then these 3 are new. I could be wrong, but I think that's the case. And again, this one should be getting read soon, so I'm quite happy with that. It's quite a difference, so I'm pretty pleased. Let me know down below what your favourite classic is. I always have to go with Jane Eyre because I read an abridged edition of it when I was about 12 years old and fell in love, but I'm still debating what my favourite classic is that I've read fully first rather than reading an abridged edition, because I have favourite children's classics but I've not quite picked yet for my adult classics. Pride and Prejudice is up there though. We'll see. Thanks so much for watching, folks. If you liked the video, please do hit like, and if you'd like to see some more from me, then please do hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!